With Labor Day approaching, it's a good time to look at the role of federal workers. A new survey dispels a number of myths, and joining us, Colleen Kelley, National President of the National Treasury Employees Union. Thanks for being here with us today, Colleen.
Thank you.
Now, this very interesting survey, tell us, what are some of the key findings of the survey?
Well, the survey respondents overwhelmingly said that they very highly value the services provided by the federal government, by federal agencies, things like food safety and border security and the veterans assistance. Those are all things that when the public is asked, they make very clear their opinion on how strongly they think these things should not only continue to be provided, but they believe that the investment in these services should actually be increased by the government and not decreased. And that's important information for those making those budget decisions to have.
Yeah, it's very important. Now, I mean, we hear so many myths about all different things, and of course there's some out there about federal workers. What are some of those myths about federal work? Every now and then.
There are quite a few. One of them that usually is raised pretty early on in a discussion is the belief that there are more federal employees today than there have ever been in our history. And that really is not the truth. If you look at the ratio of federal employees to residents, if you go back to 1953, there was one federal employee for every 78 residents in our country. In 2009, there was one federal employee for every 147 residents. So on a per capita basis, the number of federal employees has almost been cut in half. And yet they continue to provide these vital services and do so in many cases in a much more complex world for the work that they do. But they continue to do the work, and there are not more of them than there have ever been in our history.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, surprisingly, your survey found much more agreement among Democrats, Republicans, and independents than one might be expected. This is not something that goes across party lines. Can you explain that?
Yes, it was very interesting in the survey. We wanted to make sure that the survey was a cross-section geographically of our country and also of party affiliation, so that we were getting a very clear picture of the opinions of the American public. And again, overwhelmingly, 2/3 of the respondents said not only did they value the services of the federal government and think there should be a higher investment rather than a lower investment, but 2/3 of the respondents also said that they believed that the wealthiest Americans should be paying more in taxes before any federal services are cut. And that was a pretty important question. And again, I think important information for those making the decisions. Too often, you hear people talk about the public at large just wanting to cut spending. And it doesn't matter at what cost. And that really could not be further from the truth. Again, if you look at these survey results, they very much care about the services that the government provides and think that it should not just be about cutting spending. It should also be about the wealthiest Americans also paying an appropriate share.
Now, you guys are part of this. NTEU is also creating a sort of outlet for people to find out not only about myths and things like that, but also vital information that will help them appreciate even more what the federal employees are doing. Can you tell us about They Work?
Yes, we had launched this campaign. It's called They Work for Us, us being the United States. And our goal was to have an awareness and an education program out there where we could definitely debunk these myths and put the facts out there versus the fiction about federal employees. But also these survey results of the survey that was just done of the American public is there. And other information about federal employees and the critical work that they do for our country. It is all at this website that we created around this campaign, and it's www.theyworkforus.org. And there is a lot of information there that I think would not only be very interesting to the public, but also their feedback to that website will provide us with additional information as we continue to have these very important discussions about the vital services that the public receives from the federal government every day.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Colleen. This is actually very important information and very important to share with our viewers. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.